Right, so here we are, November 15, paper 2. The grade boundaries for the combined paper 1 and paper 2, you needed 120 in order to get a C, so roughly averaging 60 marks on each paper. So let's see how this paper pans out. So remember, this is a calculator allowed paper. So, Toby buys the following items to decorate some rooms in his house. Complete his bill. So, one has already been filled in. 4 wallpaper paste at £7.53 per carton. So, 4 times £7.53, £30.12. 6 tins at £8.32, £49.92. And 4 tins of gloss, 4 times £14.54, £58.16. So then we add those up, so £148.20. It's important to remember the one that they give you, plus £30.12, plus £49.92, plus 58.16. So 286, and then what you have to be careful is to remember that the calculator doesn't know that you're working in the context of money, so it doesn't add the pence zero that, because we're working in money, we need to include. So £286.40 is what we need to put there. Toby gets a 5% discount on his bill. How much does he pay? Now you need to read the question carefully here, because sometimes it will ask you for how much is the discount. Sometimes it will ask you how much he actually pays. Either way, we need to work out 5%. There are a number of different ways of doing that. The easiest way is to think of writing 5% as pence written in pounds. So if you were to write 5 pence in pounds, you would do that with a pound symbol, and then multiply that by 286.40, and this will be the discount. So 0.05 times £286.40 equals £14.32. Now, if you're happy using the percentage button on your calculator, you could have done that. You could have done £286.40 times 5 and then shift there 5%, and that would give you the same value. So you could use the percent button on your calculator if that's something that you're happy doing. And then that's how much the discount is. So he pays the £286.40 less the discount. So 286.40, take away 14.32, £272.08. And then C, Toby goes to a cafe and buys a cup of tea, a sandwich and a cake. How much change does he get from £6? So what they're doing here to mess with your head is that they're mixing pounds with pence. So it's important when you do this on your calculator, you're either working entirely in pounds or entirely in pence. So what you're going to be doing, if we work entirely in pounds, is £6 less a cup of tea, 156, less a sandwich, 286, less a cake, and this is the important bit then, that's going to be 0.98. So on your calculator, 6, take 156, take 286, take 98 pence, and 0.6 you would either write like that or like that. Where you have to be careful is that you do actually state what units you're using. If you just wrote down 0.6 there, then you would lose a mark. Okay, so the way the marks are allocated for that, for the first part is straightforward. It's 1 mark for each calculation. For the second part, there's a method for your answer of working out the 5% and getting the 5%, and then an overall final third mark for your complete answer. And then with this one, there's a method for working out the change. There's a mark for your 60p, and there's a mark for making sure your units are clear. Okay, question 2. Circle a quantity that is an appropriate estimate for each of the following. So height of a door, so just to get your units in context here, a meter would be roughly the height of your leg. Millimeters are tiny. A millimeter on your ruler, you can see there, 1 millimeter is one of the little marks on your ruler. And centimeters again you can see from your ruler. So 20 meters is very large for a height of a door. 2 millimeters is impossibly small, as is 2 centimeters. So 2 meters they're looking for there. Here, a gram is a very small, relatively small quantity. You would measure sort of ingredients in grams for a recipe. Milligrams is even smaller again. Kilograms is the right measure. It's just a question of which of those is the most appropriate. 30 kilograms would probably be the weight of a small child. A baby would be 3 kilograms. Volume of tea in a mug. Well, for this one, teaspoon is 5 millimeters, so that's too small. Cubic centimeters you wouldn't use for liquid measure. 3 litres is quite a lot if you think of a litre bottle of pop. So 300 millilitres is about the size of a can of Coke, which would be the best for the volume of tea in a mug. And similarly, or finally, for the area of a bedroom floor, centimetre squared, if you think that a centimetre is going to be that square, well, 12 of those isn't very much. Millimeters would be even less. Centimeters cubed is volume, so that eliminates those 3, giving you that one. In the space below, draw a circle of radius 6 centimeters. So to do that, you would get your compass. You would open up your compass to 6, because radius is the distance from the center to the outside. Point of your compass is going to be the center, and the pencil is going to draw the outside. Now I've reduced the size of this page, so it's going to look quite big, whereas on the proper exam paper it would fit comfortably. So that has got a radius of 6 centimeters, and then the diameter, you need to make sure where your compass point is. So the compass point went in there, so the diameter is the distance right across your circle going through the center point. So for that question, 1 mark for each of the correct units, 1 mark for drawing the circle correctly, and 1 mark for indicating the diameter. Okay, question 3. Again, more knowledge of different terms in maths. Draw a line connecting each of the following words to the correct shape. The first one's been done for you. So what you need to do, if you're unsure with these, is to pick off the ones that you are sure of. Pentagon, I know, is a 5-sided shape, so I'm looking for the one with 5 sides. That one's got 6, that one's got 5. So I'm going to knock off that one first, because that's the one I'm pretty confident about. Cylinder, I know, looks like a tube, so that's a fairly straightforward one as well. Parallelogram. Now, a parallelogram has got parallel sides, I know, but you've got to make your mind up which one of those we're talking about. And again, it's just a knowledge thing. That is a trapezium, and you probably look at that and think, that looks a bit familiar. And if you go back to the front of the page, there's one just like it there, and it's telling you that's a trapezium. So it's not that one. So the parallelogram is a four-sided shape with two pairs of parallel sides, which is that one. And finally then, I'm down to a choice with my triangles. I've got two triangles. I'm looking for an isosceles. Well, that's a right angle triangle. This is the isosceles. It's a triangle with two equal sides. So you're going to get 1 mark for each of those. Question 4. Counting squares question, again, comes up very frequently. But with this one, there's an extra step in it because they're telling you that each of those squares actually has an area in its own right. So you're going to use the method of counting squares first of all, and then multiply it by 5 in order to estimate its area. Now when you're doing this, it's important that it's clear to the examiner what method you're using. The method you should be looking to use is to include squares that are more than half covered, or at least half covered. So just by writing that, that's going to help you show the examiner you're doing the right thing. Okay, so here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71 squares times 5 for your 5 centimeter squared. So 71 times 5 equals 355. So my estimate is 355 square centimeters. The 71, so your method of counting squares is acceptable. They are happy with any number in the range of 67 to 73. So you would get 1 for a number within that range, and then 1 mark for multiplying by 5 and getting your answer. Okay, well, with this symmetry question, it's easier because the line of symmetry is lined up along your line of sight. You may have seen from other videos that I've done where that line of symmetry isn't, then I suggest you turn it so that you're looking along its line of symmetry. Deal with the straight lines first. So that is touching the mirror, so it will remain touching the mirror. This point is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that side. So it's going to be reflected point 5 the other side of the mirror. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that line, that edge corner is going to take us there. This one is 2, so it's going to take me there. And then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So deal with your straight lines first. Those are going to earn you 1 out of 2, and make sure you use a ruler. So that's that part. Now we have to do this curved part, and what would help you here is to try and deal with the each little square. So you can see there it's going to come down to there, and then it's a little bit further, and then on that one is practically half, and then it's nearly above, and on that one 1, 2, 3, 4.5, it's down, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, it's there. Then we get it to there, then it comes to there, and then it's going to touch. So by putting those dots in, it's going to help you get the general shape of that curve. So you can see that's not a bad little estimate there. So you get 1 mark for the curve and 1 mark for all the other straight lines in that line, in that symmetrical shape. Okay, so then we're on to our grade F. If we get to this point, everything's right, we're on for grade F. So this is the communication question. So we know that of those 6 marks, 2 of them are for going to be explaining what I'm trying to do here. So Peter has these 9 coins. He spends £1.78 in a shop. Peter pays using some of the coins, and he is given change. Including his change, he has exactly 4 coins left. List the coins he used to pay and list the coins he had left. So he's going to spend £1.78, and the amount of money he's got in his pocket is £2.50, £2.70, £2.80, £2.90, £2.94 is what he's got there. So he's only going to use £1 coin, because if he was using 2, he'd be getting change, which would increase the amount that he's got here. So he's going to use £1 coin. So we can knock that out. Then, if he didn't use the 50 pence, then he wouldn't have enough there to make up £1.78. So he needs to use a 50 pence. So that knocks that out. If he didn't use the 20 pence, so he's got £1.50, £1.60, £1.70, £1.74, he wouldn't have enough. So he's got to use the 20 pence in order to be able to give enough money to the shopkeeper. So that's going to be £1.70. Now, in order to make 178, if he gave the 10 pence, that would be £1.80, but that means he's already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins in his pocket, and he's going to be given more. So he can't be using the 10 pence. If he uses the 2 5s, then he'd be in the same boat, that he'd already have 4 in his pocket. So I'm going to say he's going to use the 5 pence and the 2 and the 2. That leaves him, so that comes to £1.79, leaving 1, 2, 3 coins in his pocket. And he's going to get a 1 pence So he'll get 3 coins, and he'll get an additional £1 pence coin change. So our strategy, we can see there, is that we've gone £1, then the 50, then the 20, so on. That comes to £1.79. That leaves him 3 coins, and he's going to get 1 pence back. So the coins he used to pay are the £1, the 50, the 20, the 5, and the 2 2s, and he's going to have left £1, 10 pence, 5 pence, and the 1 pence change. So it's quite an odd question, that, because that's the sort of question you could just be playing around with for ages and ages. So how do we mark that? So there's the strategy of working out how you've listed your coins. There's 1 mark for getting a total, so ours is £1.79, and there's 1 mark for the change, and then your quality of communication is how you lay out what you've done. It's quite a tricky one. Okay, question 6. The lengths in centimetres of 8 pieces of wood are, find the median. So the median is where you need to find the middle of an ordered set of data. So the first thing you have to do is order them from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So 45 is the smallest, and what I tend to do is tick off as I go so I know that I've included that value. So 45, next one is 56. Sorry, I've missed out 36. 56, 61 is next. Then comes 74. Then 77. Then 87. And finally 110. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The median is the middle, and in this case, because there's an even number, there isn't a middle value, so you've got to find halfway between the 2 middle values. So halfway between 61 and 74, add them up, divide by 2 will give you the halfway point. So 61 plus 74 is 135, divided by 2, 67.5. So that's the median. If they were an odd number, then the middle value would have a middle value, and that would be the median. For the mean, we add them all up and divide by however many there are. So the total, show the examiner that you recognize you need to add them up. So we've got 36 plus 45 plus 56 plus 61 plus 74 plus 77 plus 87 plus 110 is 546. So the mean would be 546 divided by the number of items of data you're working with, which in this case is 8. So the mean is going to be 68.25, and the range is the largest value take away the smallest value, and it's important that you work out what it is and not just write, oh, it's going from 36 to 110. So the range is 74. Okay, so for this one, there's 1 mark for the method of ordering and recognizing there's a middle value, and 1 mark for 67.5. For this one, there's 1 mark for adding them all up. There's a method for showing that you're dividing by the number of data items, and an answer mark for the 68.25, and 1 mark for dealing with the subtraction for the range. Okay, so when we're describing in words the rule for the following sequences, it's going down, so it's either a subtraction or a division. So if we do 98 take 86, it's taking off 12, 86 take away 74 is taking off 12. So what we want to say here is subtract 12 from previous number. With this one, it's going up, so it's either being added or multiplied. That's adding 4. That clearly isn't adding 4, so we're not going to do that, so we'll try and multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. So multiply previous number by 5. Find the values of. So this question now is expecting you to be able to use your calculator. You've got a square root button on your calculator, so we're going to type that in exactly as it looks there. Press equals 1.2. 5.2 cubed, there's your cubed button, equals 140.608. Express 9% as a decimal. Well, I mentioned earlier, if you think of writing percentages as pence in pounds, 9%, if you were writing 9 pence in pounds, you would write it like that with a little pound sign. Chris has £10. He goes into a shop to buy notebooks costing 68 pence each. What is the greatest number of notebooks he can buy, and what is his change? So again, with this question, you need to be clear that you're working either in pence or in pounds. I prefer to use pounds, so I'm going to see how many times 0.68 goes into 10. So it's 14.7, blah 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 blah. So he can't buy 15 notebooks, he won't have enough money. So 14 notebooks, and they will cost him 14 lots of 68 pence, £9.52. So his change will be £10 less £9.52, 48p. And again, you'd either write it as 48p or 0.48 pounds. With this question, you need to remember that the word of in maths means times. So the sum you're going to do is that. You're allowed to use a calculator, so use the fraction button on your calculator, which is that one. Type it in exactly as I've written it. So 4/9 times 63 equals 28. Okay, so marks for that question. 1 mark for that, 1 mark for that, 1, 1, 1. For D, so this is 7D, 1 mark for doing that division with either 10,000 divided by 68 or 10 divided by 0.68. 1 mark for 14 and 1 mark for the change. And for E, 1 mark for the method of spotting your multiplying and 1 mark for your answer of 28. Question 8, a little bit of algebra. So what you need to remember here is that the sign in front of each term is connected to it, and if for the first term, if there's no sign there, it's a positive. So we've got plus A is 2A, and then I've got a 3B, take away 4B, leaves me at minus 1B or minus B. Rebecca thinks of a number. She multiplies the number by 4 and then subtracts 7. That gives her 41. So if you want to work out what the number is, we need to travel backwards through this number line. So when we travel backwards, we have to do the opposite. So we've got to do 41, add 7, divide by 4, and that will give us what that is. So 41 add 7 is 48, divided by 4 is 6. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Thinks of a number, she multiplies by 4 and subtracts 7 to get 41. So 41 add 7 is 48. 48 divided by 4 is where I've gone wrong, isn't it? 48 divided by 4 is 12. Sorry, brain dead there. So 12 fours, 48, take away 7 is 41. So, and here you've got to make sure that the answer is clear, so 12. An apple and a pear are placed on a scale as shown in diagram 1. Another apple is added to the scale as shown in diagram 2. Both apples have the same weight. What is the weight of the pear? So the first thing to do with any measuring scale question is to work out what each little square, each little mark is worth. And you can see here you're going from 0 to 100 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 100 in 5 jumps means each little square is worth 20. So here we've got 220, 40, 60. And then when we add an apple to it, it goes up to 320, 40, 60, 80. So adding an apple increases the weight on the scale by 120 grams. So one apple weighs 380, take away 260 is 120 grams. So if an apple weighs 120, and on this scale an apple and a pear weigh 260, so if we do the 260 less the 120, okay, because we know now that that is 120 and we want to know what that is, then we can see that it's going to weigh 140 grams. Okay, so marks for this question. Great. 1 mark for each of those. 1 mark for your method. 1 mark for 12. For part C, 1 mark for reading the scales, 1 mark for your method of working out the weight of an apple, and 1 mark for your method of using that to work out the weight of the pear, and 1 mark for the weight of the pear. Then we're on to the dreaded utility bills question. Get through this, and if everything else is right, you are on for a C. So Mr. and Mrs. Hughes received an electricity bill. The bill, with some of the entries missing, is shown below. Use the information given on the bill to complete all of the missing entries and calculate the total amount that Mr. and Mrs. Hughes have to pay. So the most important thing with these questions is you work in pounds. So straight away we want to get shot of that 18.5 pence and turn it into pounds. Now 18 pence written in pounds would be 0.18, so that written in pounds would be written like that. Now it's much more difficult to go wrong. First thing we need to do then is, the next thing is to work on how many units have been used. So that's how many units were on the meter last time. Now it's clocked onto that, so we take those away. So we do 4703, take away 3425. So the number of units used is 1278. Each of those costs that much. So to work out how much the units are going to cost, we're going to do 1278 times 0.185. £236.43. Then VAT is going to be charged at 5% of that. So now we've got to do that times 0.05, which is 5%, times 0.05, so £11.80, and then we look, is it 82 or 83? The next digit is less than 5, so that's going to be £11.82. So the total charge is going to be the £236.43 plus the VAT, £248.25. Now they already owe, or they still owe from the previous bill, £12.46. So that's going to be added on to this month's bill, giving you a total of £260.71. They wish to pay the bill in 3 equal monthly payments. How much should each of these monthly payments be? So we're going to divide that by 3. £86.90. Again, to the nearest pence, look at the next one over, it's smaller than 5, so £86.90. Okay, so the marks for that one, there's 1 mark for the 1278, there's 1 mark for the £236.43, there's 1 mark for the £11.82, there's 1 mark for the £248.25, and there's 1 mark for the final bill. And then for this one, there's a method for dividing by 3 and an answer mark for working out an answer. So here we are, question 10. This gets us into the grade C. So the scatter diagram shows the price and age of each of 12 scooters on the same make and model. So each of those dots is a bike and the cost of it and the age of it. First of all, let's work out what each little square is worth. In this direction, we're going from 0 to 100 in 5. So that's the same as the previous one. We're going to do 100 divided by the 5 jumps equals 20. So each mark there is £20. And on this one, each mark is 1 divided by 10, 0.1. Price of a new scooter. Well, a new scooter will have an age of 0. So this one here is the new scooter, which is 620, 40, 60. The oldest scooter, so we're looking for the dot across here, is 4 years old, and that would be 120. Oops, not £1.20, 120. Line of best fit. Sometimes they'll ask for the line of best fit on a mean point. This one doesn't, it's just by eye. So you're looking to put your ruler roughly in the same slope as most of the dots and running through. So I'm going to go kind of there. Again, it doesn't go through the axes. It doesn't have to go through any of the points, and there will be a range that the examiner will be happy with. Okay, the type of correlation. Well, positive is an upward trend, so as one side increases, so does the other. Negative is as one goes up, the other goes down, which is what we've got here. As the age goes up, the price goes down, so it's negative. And then the final bit, 2.5-year-old scooter. So 2.5 is there. Use your graph. Show on your graph what you're doing. So on my graph, there's 2.5. I'm going up to my line, and I'm reading across, and that's going to be my estimate, which is £280. Okay, and the marks for that, you get one for the 660, one for the 120, one for your line of best fit, one for the negative correlation, and an answer there, anything between 260 and 320 will get you that mark. So if you have gone well up to that point and you managed to get everything right, then everything from here is a bonus and you are guaranteed a C.